Hey everyone, it's Jess and I'm here to show you how to create the chessboard pieces. So we have our chessboard. You can find that video on my YouTube channel on how to make your own DIY chessboard. So here's my chessboard, and then now today I'm going to show you how to make your own pieces because it's not a chessboard without the pieces. So what I've done is I've made one set of pieces already, and so we're gonna go patriotic, and I chose blue and red for my pieces, but y'all can let the kids pick whatever colors they want. Let them be creative. I would suggest one set is one color and the other set's another color. Definitely don't do the same color because that will cause confusion. And then if you add more than two colors, so if you do like half one set red, the other half blue, and then the other set are two other different colors, that also gets really complicated. So I would just stick with two colors, but let them pick, let them be creative, let them pick their favorite colors and everything. So as you can see here, I have my red set, and these don't look like typical chess pieces because it's DIY. So we want to make them as I want to make sure that kids can make these, and it's not something that requires like a hot glue gun or anything like that where it would require y'all to help each individual student. So what I have done is I have created little blocks. They're all roughly the same size except these two, which are king and queen. But my pawns have nothing on the top, okay? It's just a basic rectangle, and it fits really well on our board. So here's our board, and you want to make sure that they're not too big and that they are able to be centered on each one, okay? So I have my red. So I've already done my red, and so I wanted to show y'all the final product, and then I'm going to show you step by step how to make with the other set. So we have one set, and then we need the other side as well. So we have all our pawns. You need 8 pawns for this, and so I have my 8 pawns. There's nothing on top. They're just rectangles, and those are to be our pawns, okay? The next ones are all the ones that are different. They have different abilities. They can move across the board differently, so I changed them up a little bit. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you where they all belong, just so you can kind of get an understanding of where everything is, okay? So our rook, which is the tower, that's going to go on both corners, and you can see that the rook has 4 little balls on top to make it kind of look like a tower. That was how I chose to distinguish the rook. So let your kids, y'all, before I created them, I drew up a plan here of what we wanted to do. So I would have your kids draw a plan just like this, very similar. It's super simple, it doesn't take long, but just so they know what they're doing. And you can see my rook has, you can see my rook has 4 little squares on the outside. So I know that that's my rook, okay? So after the rook, you have the bishop, which, hold on. We have, I'm sorry, not the bishop, we have the knight, okay? So the knight, I decided to do a little cross on it, or a little X. So it was super simple. You just indent the clay once you've made your rectangles. And then these two are the most similar. This is my rook, or no, my bishop. My bishop is an X. So we have a cross and then we have an X. So they're next to each other, but what you need to know is just what's important is that you can distinguish between the two. I can tell which one's an X, I can tell which one's a cross, so I know what's what. Alright, and then you have your king, which I did an X on, or a cross on, and then I put a little circle in the middle. So I know that is my king. And then I have my queen. I did 3 little circles and then 1 on top to make a nice little crown. So that is my queen. So that is my set 1 for my chessboard. Now, this clay is it's like model clay, so it will have to dry. So I would suggest make these quickly or very early on in the week, because you want to make sure they're dry and they're good and hard before you send them home. So I would probably give it at least 2 or 3 days. So start Monday, Tuesday, very early on in the week, make them so that they're ready by Friday, okay? So I'm going to show you how to make them, and they're very easy. You need less clay than you think. So you don't need a ton of clay. You just need a little bit for each one. I use scissors. Scissors are very helpful. Just cutting it, making sure it's proportional. So here's my block of clay, and I found that I use probably about half of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut half of it and put 1/2 back in the bag so it doesn't dry out, since this is air dry clay. And then I have my clay that I'm going to use to make all my pieces. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to kind of, before I start cutting, I'm going to flatten it out a little bit so I can cut proportional pieces as we start this. So I'm just flattening it out. You need 16 pieces. You need 8 pawns. Hold on. And then one thing, I moved my chessboard and some of the pieces fell. In the beginning, when they're drying, they still stick to one another. The clay sticks to clay. So make sure that you keep them, make sure they're not touching while they're drying, or they will stick together. So that's important to know. So I'm just a little side note there. Make sure your clay does not touch. Once they've made their pieces, make sure the other pieces don't touch. So, because you'll ruin the pieces, because you won't be able to, you'll pull them apart, but then it won't pull away smoothly. So I'm over here. So my king and queen are a little bigger than the rest. So I'm going to cut those first, so that I have a good amount of clay for those. So I cut that, and then I'm just going to cut that probably in half, and I'm going to see how much we get from that. And then honestly, all you do, I'm trying to show you, you put fingers here, and then you put fingers here, and then you just flatten it and move it around until you're happy with your rectangle, okay? So 2 on top, 2 on the sides, and then you are just kind of moving it around until you get the square or the rectangle shape that you're looking for. Now, please do not feel like you have to do rectangles. You could do circles, you could do coins, you could do whatever you like. Just, I chose rectangles because they're the easiest to keep consistent, because you want all your pawns to look the same, or you lose track of what is what. So rectangles are easy for me to make, and so that's why I chose them, because I want all my pieces to look similar. Okay, so here's my rectangle. It's not perfect, you can tell, but we have our king. Now I'm going to make the queen, and the more you play with the clay, the softer it gets, because your hands warm it up. So just keep playing with it, manipulating it, and you will get the result you need or you desire for your pieces. So I'm going to just keep playing. Okay. I'm checking the size to make sure it's close to the king, because again, I want these to be my larger ones. So here's my queen. Again, not a perfect rectangle, but it fits on my boards, and that's what matters. Okay, so I have the rest here. Now I just made my two largest. The rest are going to be roughly the same size, and then the indentions and the add-ons are what changes the height and the shapes of it. So I'm going to just cut out 14 pieces from here, roughly the same size, so that they're all the same size. So scissors are a huge help with this. It's just easy. So they're not perfect, but they're good enough for what we need. And the clay cuts really easily with the scissors, so that always helps. Instead of trying to rip it, the clay rips well, it just doesn't, you don't get the same proportions every time. Scissors are just easier, so that's what I would suggest that you make your pieces out of. So I'm working on making the pieces. I just went ahead and made all the pieces at once, and then I went back and designed them. So that's what I'm doing. I want to make sure that my pieces are smaller than my king and my queen. So here's one of my pieces, and then here's my king. So you can kind of see that it's a little larger. So that's what I'm going for, just a smaller piece for the rest of them. And then it gets really easy to make the pieces because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make all the rest of the pieces, and then I'll come back and show you how to add the indents and add the add-ons to make them individual. Alright? Hey y'all, I am back with my pieces. I have made all my rectangles for my blue, and then now I'm going to show you how to add the distinctions so you know which piece is which. Now, here's my board. We don't need to distinguish we don't need to distinguish the pawns. So I'm picking out the smaller ones because I am not a perfect person. My rectangles are not all the same size, so I'm picking the smaller ones to go in the front. That are my pawns, okay? And I'm trying, as I'm putting them down, I'm kind of trying to make them the same size height-wise. But again, I'm not perfect, so I'm not getting them all done correctly. And then as I'm picking out, I'm also fixing and editing a little bit so that I'm happy with it, because that's what matters. You want the kids to be happy with it. And so if they figure out what they want, they know what they want, they know what to expect for themselves, and so that's the goal, is that they are taking away something that they're proud of, that they have made. Okay, so now I have my what's left. I know these two are my king and my queen because they're the biggest, so I'm gonna go ahead and make my queen and king. I would suggest using some Play-Doh tools to make the indentions. I do not have Play-Doh tools, so I'm just using a butter knife to make the indentions. My king has a cross. Now I'm matching my red to my blue, or matching my blue to my red. So I'm making sure that my kings from both sets, color sets, match, okay? So I am going and making a cross on top. So it's not perfect, but you can tell it's a cross, or I can tell it's a cross, and like I said, that's all that matters. As long as the campers can distinguish between, that is what matters. Okay, so I have my cross here. There's my cross. And then this is my leftover clay here. This is all that was left over. So I'm just taking a pinch and I'm going to make a little circle. And then once I'm happy with the circle and that it's all smooth and everything, then I'm going to go and put it right in the middle so it matches. So I have my cross and I have my circle in the middle. So I'm going to set that in the position it belongs, and then I'm going to do my queen. So I have my queen here. My queen's the most complicated, well, except the rook maybe, but I chose to make 4 little circles. So I'm just doing a pinch, and truly it takes less than you think. So just remind your campers, It takes less than you think. You don't need a huge amount of clay, because truly it does not. So I'm putting one circle there. I'm kind of making like I'm just laying down 3 on here. And like I said, the clay sticks together. So once you've put it on, so say the kids mess up and they put it on a piece that doesn't belong, they're just gonna really have to start over on the entire piece that they were making, because once these are on, there's no way I'm taking them off. So I've added my 3 little circles, and then what I'm gonna do to make it more like a tower, make it look more like a crown, I'm going to add 1 more circle on the very top. And then I am going to be happy with it. So just simple things like this will help distinguish between. So there is my queen. So I'm going to put it in its position. Alright, so now let's knock out the rooks. Because those also have I have to make all the circles for that. I have to make 4 circles for that, just like I did the queen. Just you're putting them in different locations. So again, not a ton of clay. You really don't need a ton. You make a circle, and then you put it in the corner, and then you're gonna do the same thing, just 3 more times. So it does not take long. I would say it probably will take 30 minutes to 45 minutes for your group to make their. Hold on. Can y'all hear that? I'm not sure if y'all can hear that or not, but it is so loud. One second. Not sure if y'all could hear that, but we have people blowing their yards this morning, and I didn't want to try to talk over the blower. So I made 1 rook. I'm making the second, and again, I'm just doing the exact same thing I did for the first and I'm doing for the second, so they match, because it is very important for your pieces to match. So because if you look at a chessboard, the pieces match. So we want to make sure we're doing the same thing, making the best DIY chessboard that we can. So I'm almost done with my second rook, which is my final rook. I'm pushing down the clay, pushing down just lightly to make sure they're sticking. We don't want the pieces to fall off, because then it'll look like a pawn. But there is my second rook. So I'm going to put that where it belongs, in the corner there. And then my last 2 are really simple. They are just my X's and my cross. So if they are doing X's and cross, make sure that they double check their piece of paper. Make sure they double check their piece of paper and they know what is what. So I'm double checking. My knight is my cross. So I'm going to get my knife. And I'm going to do a cross, just press against there, press down. The clay indents pretty easily, and then I'm going to reshape it a little bit, because when you're pressing down, it kind of gets a little smaller. So there is my cross. So I'm going to put it where it belongs, and I'm going to do the same thing so that we have a pair, because we need a pair of knights. So I'm going to go, oh, no. Okay, so I'm going to do a pair, just like that. I'm indenting it a little bit more, making sure that you can see that it is a cross. And there's my cross, and I'm putting it where it belongs. And then I'm doing my final 2, which are my bishop pairs. And that is going to be my X's. So instead of going straight down, I'm going angled to corner, and then I'm going corner to corner. So, and then I'm gonna edit as necessary. So, there. So, this is my bishop. This is my knight. So, you can see the difference. And that's what matters. Alright, one more, and then we will be done with our chess set. So again, y'all, let the kids decide, but have them draw it out, write it out, make sure they know what they're going to do before you give them clay. We don't want to waste clay. We also want to make sure that they can distinguish between them. So there's just important pieces, important prep that the kids need to do before you start handing out clay. But here is our chessboard. So we have everything, let them dry for a couple days, and then once it's all dry, then the kids can take home their DIY chessboard and chess pieces. All right, y'all. I hope you have a great day at summer camps, and y'all have so much fun making these chessboards and these chess pieces, and I will see you next time. Bye.